Hello Nathan, how are you?
Hi Sam, great to be here.
Yes, thank you very much. We're going very, very quickly through 2022.
Can't believe it, nearly the end of the year already.
It's blinked and it's passed, so we're going ahead into 2023 and we get asked so many questions because this year's been really up and down, hasn't it, with our market. One day we're saying prices might drop and the next day we're saying prices are increasing. So just a recap of the year. Overall, you're across the board around Adelaide. What's been the general consensus that you hear with our market? What would be some factors that you pinpointed?
Yeah, really good question, Sam. It is something we get asked a lot, which is common when you're in real estate, but I think it's pretty common at the moment. There has been a lot of change in the last 12 months. We've come off the biggest property boom that our generation has seen and most generations have seen as well. 20 or 30% price growth over 12 months, which is unheard of in any markets, let alone Adelaide, which normally has, a 2 to 5% growth in property prices. So the change was always going to come. We knew that. It's probably been driven a fair bit around the interest rate rises and the speed of that. I think sort of interest rates have never risen at this sort of pace since sort of the early 90s when you and I were probably whippersnippers in school and in lots of mischief, etc. So all of that, and that sort of hit consumer confidence as well. But I think what we've seen is just the reliability and the consistency of the Adelaide marketplace, where some other markets have actually dropped in property prices, but we've just really stabilised, which is pretty reflective of what Adelaide is able to achieve in any sort of changing marketplace when there's been a little bit of a downturn across the rest of Australia. Adelaide's just really stabilised, and off the back of just what we have to offer. Great lifestyle, affordability, we don't sort of have travel difficulties in terms of traffic and getting around. So all of those things has really put Adelaide on the map as terms of why it's so stable and reliable. And one of the things we've continued to see off the back of the COVID recovery is the amount of people returning to Adelaide, or actually now putting Adelaide on the map for all of those reasons we spoke about, affordability and lifestyle. And if you sort of have a chat to a lot of the buyer agents or the enrolment people at schools, is always an interesting indicator of what the market, and most of those people are feeling they haven't seen as many people wanting to come to Adelaide ever before. So when you've got significant demand and the supply is pretty low, that just actually stabilises the market. But actually what we've seen at the back end of the year is actually a little bit of growth again.
Surprising. Yeah. So there was a couple of factors. I always talk to people when I get asked the question. Interest rates, yes, has affected. We had 6 rate increases quite quickly. Supply, demand. We're very lucky that we have these conversations with well-known and well-respected analysts. I know you catch up with these people all the time. So coming into 2023, what's been their indicators to us? How are they feeling our market might shift going into next year?
Yeah, I think it's just a feeling that we've probably found the floor, or close to it, depending on sort of which market and which region. And again, coming off such significant property price growth of 20 or 30%, the market has sort of stabilised. And yes, we had some increases to interest rates, but they're still relative. Still interest rates at 4 or 5%. Compared to, as my father-in-law would tell me, the good old days of the 1980s when interest rates were 18 or 90%. So interest rates are still relatively low. So I think it'll probably just be a fairly sort of steady return to good marketplaces, which we've actually probably seen in the back half of 2022. So we would think that that'll continue into next year. And then it's just a new cycle. We always go through a cycle every 10 years. We've seen in 2022 at the back half, a lot of investors have returned to the marketplace. So that's always an indication that they feel the bottom, if you like, has been achieved and we're going to have reasonable growth going forward. It's probably one that we're not going to see 20 or 30% price growth going forward over this new cycle. But for Adelaide, if they can be sitting at the 2 to 5% growth, that's probably what's most likely is going to happen. But sometimes my crystal ball is in the workshop, and haven't always got everything right over the last couple of years, as most economists have been in the same sort of boat. It's had some challenges.
We won't hold you to that, but interesting, your viewpoint is where I'm sitting as well. Really excited going into 2023.
Yeah.
I'm telling investors, our vacancy rate for rentals is really low, safe as houses in Adelaide. Why would you not? Yeah. Let's see what happens. I might pull you back onto this lounge in a few months' time.
One of the things that the pandemic and COVID showed us is just how resilient we are as human beings and as a community. When we had a lot of doom and gloom and, will the real estate industry actually exist and what's going to happen with society, but we actually moved on really quickly. And we've seen that as we've had changes in parts of the marketplace, and there's been some interest rate increases which we've spoken about, and changes in different markets and investments. But at the end of the day, we're so resilient, and we move on, I think, a lot quicker than maybe previous eras or previous generations. So that's just a sign that we're just so resilient. Life can sometimes be pretty short, and we just want to get on with it. And as you said, bricks and mortar real estate is such a reliable investment, whether it's something that you're investing in terms of the rental market or just your own investment. Buy a home to live in, no better investment than that, and pay down your mortgage.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens this coming 12 months, 6 months. I will get you back on the lounge. Let's see if we're predicting right. But I have to say, one thing about OC, what I do love is no matter what happens, what changes happen, we're always ahead of that ball game. So sitting down in the lounge room, we come across really confident and safe that no matter what happens, we're prepared to pull the trigger in whatever strategy we need. Yeah. And I think that's what OC provides, which is really fantastic.
Control the controllables.
That's right.
We don't control the marketplace, we don't control interest rates, what's happening in shares and other industries, but there's some things we can control. We can control how we present properties to the marketplace, we can control the strategy, and we can control how we deal with buyers and negotiate for our clients. And no matter what the market is doing, we can control all that. The rest of it is out of our control. So like you said, control what you can control.
It's true. Awesome. All right, well, let's make it happen.
See you next time.